Good evening and welcome to your favorite program, the University of the West Indies and You. I have tonight some very special guests, and they hail from all corners of the University of the West Indies. In fact, the 4 campuses are represented here. And these, as usual, will introduce themselves, and I can guarantee you'll have a treat tonight. Before they give their welcoming remarks, let me allow you to interact with our sponsors, which should be within a minute. You will know who our sponsors are. Who else? The University of the West Indies. Now, these of my 4 guests have been here early in the week on Monday, or they arrive on Sunday, and they will be here for an entire week, and essentially to interact with our main stakeholders, students or would-be students who are and continue to be, you may say, dying to get into the portals of the University of the West Indies, because that should mean to every Dominican, every Caribbean person, the highest learning institution in the region, as well as very competitive in the world. There will be some revealing facts we will get today of the usefulness of the University of the West Indies. Some facts that you never knew or never even thought of, even if you have bits and pieces of that information with you. Let us now take a deserved break to introduce our sponsors. Who else? The University of the West Indies.
I'm part of a tough, smart,
constantly evolving,
never too old to learn community of human beings.
proud of country,
Proudly Caribbean, global citizens.
with convenient access to over 400 learning programs
Delivered both online and face-to-face.
from the Caribbean's University of First Choice.
My mind,
My life.
my world of possibilities is wide open.
Call, click, or visit the UWI Open Campus.
2 faces that I recognize. Marjorie, I won't give the double-barrel surname that you carry. I think there may be a third one. You'll add Dominica to it soon. And Nigel. These are 2 administrators at 2 different campuses of the University of the West Indies. And what we always look forward to every year is what we call the Stat Ambassador, UWI Stat Ambassadors, in the person of Malike and Benedict. Okay, these will be, you may say, entertaining you, telling you about the wonders of the University of the West Indies. Let me just start with the lady immediate to my left and ask her to, should it be reintroduction? I mean, she's coming through the airport, and she was not here last year, but she was here 2 years ago and sometime before. And a custom officer, an immigration officer, recognizes her and really pleaded with her to stay. Let's hear the rest of the story. Marjorie, as you introduce yourself.
Good evening, Dominica. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm Marjorie Bolero-Haughton from the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. I'm an assistant registrar, and my portfolio is still part of recruiting students to the UWI. I'm really very happy to be here. I think Dominica is very beautiful next to Jamaica. If you want to prove me wrong, then you have to go to Jamaica and then come back and you can tell me which is the most beautiful.
Okay, so we're talking about beauty, and from TNT, he must be wondering, what is he doing in Dominica when there is mass in his country, all the tents, etc. But if he has a taste of what Dominica has to offer while here, he will know that we are there with Trinidad, not in terms of costumes, but in terms of calypso, which almost a dying art in Trinidad and being resuscitated in the region by Dominica with some very good calypsonians. Nigel, it's your turn. Introduce to the populace.
Well, my name is Nigel Bradshaw. I'm the student recruitment officer from the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies. As Felix alluded, I'm possibly here not just for the recruitment of students, but to observe Dominica Carnival, to ensure that you understand that I understand the high quality that is available here to the Calypso tents and also to the mass itself, but also to be able to verify that if you're very much interested in Carnival and Carnival studies, we have that program at the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies.
Okay, thank you, Nigel. And you listeners and viewers, you saw the passion with which the man spoke. The only thing he needed at the background is a little pan music to just, with that lovely accent from Trinidad, mellow. That doesn't mean, Marjorie, that the Jamaican one is not one fabulous. We adhere to more. Everybody, everywhere in the world, when you go, if you're from the Caribbean, you first ask if you are Jamaican, and then it may be Barbadian or Trinidadian, etc. So anyway, it's the same country, the Caribbean community. And here are two men who represent the University of the West Indies and are affiliated, you may say, to the Vice Chancellor and given the status of ambassadors. Okay, Malike, let's know who you are.
All right. Good evening, Dominica. I am Malike Kellier. And no, I don't have a Bajan accent, though I study at the Cave Hill campus. I'm a Jamaican final year law student at the Cave Hill campus in Barbados, and I'm a UWI Stat ambassador.
So, he didn't say it, and the listeners are still wondering what is UWI Stat, especially in the new persons. I think most Dominicans will know what Stat means by now, because every year we have and entertain two ambassadors. And let me just quickly say, I'm elated, and Marjorie don't feel anyway, that we have two gentlemen this time. I once had on this program two ladies. We have had a man, a female, and a male, but, you know, men, we are in education too. We are getting careers and professions through studying at the University of the West Indies, and we are well represented here with two males. Benedict, what is STAT? While you introduce yourself.
Good morning, Dominica. My name is Benedict Bryan. I'm studying at the St. Augustine campus. I'm a UWI Stat ambassador, which stands for Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow. And I guess I'll be able to tell you all a lot more about campus life and UWI experience. Okay.
And again, I almost played the pan, well, if I could, while Benedict spoke, because you hear something like as if he's from Trinidad, isn't he? Now, let's keep all the funny things aside and get into the business of UWI, because y'all will not get your per diem if you don't.
Give it back.
You have been sent here, recruitment officers, etc., and UWI Stat ambassador to spread which has to be spread among Caribbean people, the UWI brand, we may put it that way. So, Marjorie, I know you said Dominica beautiful. Probably we can give you a diplomatic passport, and you may remain and come when you want, honorary Dominicans, because it happens that when many persons from Dominica study at Mona, especially the men, and men doing medicine, they come back with Jamaican wives. So hence the link between Jamaica and our bond between Jamaica and Dominica. Okay? So take your pick from there. But interestingly, Marjorie, you are involved in administration, in recruitment. How is that going when you travel among the islands of the Caribbean? Because that's what you're doing, aren't you?
Yes, it is. You see, the University of the West Indies is regional institution. It's not a Jamaican institution only, or the country in which it is found, Barbados or Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica. It's for the students of the region. And it is important that we maintain the regionalism in the UWI by having students from all the islands that make up what we call the UWI family. Now, one of the things that we want to know, one of the special thing about UWI is that persons who are coming from whether Jamaica or from the islands, they get a special concession in terms of fee because of an agreement with the governments, because every Ministry of Education is represented on the University Council, and our students, our Dominican students, coming in for most programs will, if they get government sponsorship, they'll pay just 20% of the tuition. If they don't, then they'll pay 1/3. They will never pay 100% of it, except in the case of like medicine or law and engineering. Those programs, if they don't get sponsorship, they'll have to pay the full amount. But if the students are bright and if their grades are good, the university make concession for that. There's an open scholarship which is there. And the open scholarship, any person can apply for that. We want to see not only the academic side, the student, but we want to see students who are involved in areas of the community when they're applying for the scholarship. The scholarship gets them to any campus of choice. Once they're in the program, it covers the tuition, it covers boarding, it covers books and incidentals, and there's also a little stipend for the person. And we're very generous in that the persons only have to maintain a B+ average to maintain the scholarship. Further to that, the students, when they're coming, if they pay their airfare, the university refunds, and that goes to any of the campuses that they have to fly to. So I think we are generous in the institution. Although our students do not pay so much money, they don't have to pay 100%. Sometimes I wonder how the university does it. But also other scholarships and bursaries are available to students depending on how well they do, depending on their GPA, depending on their faculties. Those are there to help to support our students, because it is very important that we have the students within our university. It is the University of the West Indies is very important in the economic, cultural development, every aspect of our region. And we are not only preparing our students for the region, but we're preparing students for the world, because if you go and check our university graduates. Now, for a small university, I noticed that we have had so many Rhodes Scholars coming from the UWI. Recently, the last two, one came from Trinidad, from St. Augustine, and one from the Mona campus. And I saw a blurb which says that we had about over 60 students who got Nobel Laureate. Now, if that is so, for an institution which is 64 years old, we are, in Jamaican parlance, we said we're little but with Talawa. Talawa, yes. That means we pack a good punch for such a small institution. We are very powerful. We have just about 50,000 students, but we are compared to any of the higher education institutions in the US and the UK and anywhere. So
60 Rhodes Scholars for such
60, for such short period of time.
And that speaks to the quality of the University of the West Indies.
Of the West Indies, correct.
You probably could tell us too, in addition to Rhodes Scholars, which is probably the highest level of scholastic activity that takes place in universities.
Right.
Okay, and there we can boast of at least 60.
At least 60.
Yes, almost one per year of its existence.
Almost one per year.
Nobel laureates, which is one of the accolades of academia. Right. What does UWI have to offer?
We have about four, I think two out of St. Lucia.
Yeah, two out of St. Lucia.
Two came out of St. Lucia. Maybe the next one is going to come from Dominica, who's to say, but it is for you. We're looking forward to having more of our students from Dominica. Yes. I really love the way when they come to, at least my campus, I can speak to how the Rasta is, in Jamaica say full-ticipate. That means they put everything into it, real Dominica.
Yes, okay. Yes. Marge, I'll tell you, gentlemen, if I leave Marjorie on, she will tell us everything. You saw the passion with which Marjorie speaks about the University of the West Indies. So I have to pull the reins now so that I can give the Trini a little talk, because frankly, I don't want a federation war there. It was the Trinidad Prime Minister, the Doc, who said that when Jamaica pulled out from the Federation, 1 from 10 leaves 0. Nigel, you're very much on this panel. And if not about what Marjorie has said, because what she made mention of applies to any UWI campus, except, I should say, and I'll probably give my short bit, on the Open Campus. The Open Campus is that campus of the University of the West Indies where you get scholarship, I should tell you. You get scholarship by remaining at home. Okay, some of you may be saying, what is Wilson saying here about you get scholarship attending the Open Campus? Each territory in the Caribbean with Jamaica and Trinidad has multiple. Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent, the Cayman Islands. We have one each, but you can remain at home. And why I call it a scholarship is because you pay no more than about 25,000 EC for a degree for the entire period. 25,000 EC. Where do you get that? And as I understood, when you make comparison with universities in the States, you may be paying something like 15,000 US per semester. Okay, so the myth of UWI being expensive. So all persons attending, which is about 25,000, attend the open campus. You remain at home, you work, and you learn. And hence, if that's not a giveaway, I don't know what is. Nigel, Trinidad, the St. Augustine campus, I expect to hear many other things in terms of your programs, etc.
Okay, well, specifically at our St. Augustine campus, and I want to also to speak to what Marjorie was mentioning just now. St. Augustine campus has seen significant amounts of Dominicans coming over the years, and they have excelled as well. Many of them have gone on to getting the highest accolades at graduation, which would be first-class honors, also to upper second-class honors, in many different areas, in engineering, in food and agriculture, which is again on the front burner for us to be able to ensure and sustain food security for the Caribbean, especially here in Dominica and the OECS. We have also a faculty of law, which is brand new, allows for many persons to be able to qualify with the LLB to be able to move into the legal sector or legislation or whatever areas they want to choose. We have a very significant faculty of social sciences with a large number of students. The largest group of students at the St. Augustine campus are in the faculty of social sciences, studying in economics, behavioral sciences like sociology, and psychology and government and political science. We also too have the Faculty of Science and Technology, which has allowed for a regional integration of some of the best brains in science to be able to allow us to capture worldwide awards in new stuff like actuarial science, information technology, and computer science and management. We have a large number of programs, over 150 undergraduate BSc degree, BSc, BA, BNG programs. We have medical sciences, for which we have students from across the world. We have students applying from 60 different countries worldwide to enter into all the faculties that we have at the University of the West Indies. I don't think necessarily because they may surmise that it is very competitive in terms of cost, but they realize, based on what we're just speaking, is a significant institution in terms of the high levels, high standards for accreditation, the global competitiveness of our graduates in many different programs around the world. And I want to also to specify that persons think of lifelong learning beyond the bachelorate degree, going into research areas in any field, because with more researchers on board right here in Dominica, you will definitely benefit in every sector by being able to capture new information that is useful in the developmental approach of Dominica, the OECS, the rest of the region, and the global climate.
Yeah, Nigel, just while you speak, I should say, because both you and Marjorie should have mentioned, that the University of the West Indies per se offers over 800 programs, right, 800 programs. And it's you to access the website of UWI, where you will see Mona, St. Augustine, Cayville, and the Open Campus, and explore and know what is offering. We just don't offer just law, medicine, and engineering as traditional scholastic activity, which many people would think of. UWI has much more. Let me just tease Nigel, because we're still in the carnival spirit, and as a Trinidadian, he should know, and more so, a UWI graduate. There is some research that has been done on the steel pan, which is world-renowned. Tell us about that.
Well,
if not, I'm going to ask you to next time you must bring a pan and play it, Nigel. You can't be there.
I'll ask Professor Brian Copeland, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, and also to the recipient of the highest award in Trinidad and Tobago, the Order of Trinidad and Tobago, for his contribution in education in Trinidad and Tobago and the region. He is the developer of the percussive harmonic instrument, the electronic pan, which allows you to be able to syncopate the sounds of all the different types of steel pans, right, on one machine, while also to incorporating music from other types of instruments like the piano, the guitar, even the harp, right? This is something that is important for persons to understand this. He worked with different persons in the Faculty of Engineering to be able to reach the patent level, an instrument that others across the world were trying to develop at the same time. Right? We were able to do it before others from Denmark, from Sweden, from London, from Japan. Right? It shows then the quality of what we have at the University of the West Indies. You asked me to really go into the history of the steel pan. The steel pan has been incorporated into the teaching of music certificates at the St. Augustine campus. We have a special program for persons that want to be able to get into the development of steel pan technology, and also to steel pan as a specific instrument for promotion of West Indian culture.
Listen, if you give a Trinidadian to talk about steel pan, you'll be here all night. And if you only have an hour, so Nigel, there's so much more to be said. And you didn't tell us which one of the pans that you support, the panyards, probably Despers, but we'll talk about that on another program. Malike, yes. You've heard your Jamaican counterpart, but you have affiliated yourself with the K-Ville campus. So you are wearing two hats here. Rightly so, that is K-Ville, and you are UWI Stat ambassador. Well, we got a definition of UWI Stat from Benedict, but then we wanted to ask you, what is your real mission as UWI Stat ambassadors?
So, as Benedict said, UWI Stat stands for Students
I
Today.
like that teamwork, as Benedict said. Yeah. Go on.
Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow, and we are the Vice Chancellor's ambassadors. Now, within the UWI Council or hierarchy, the Vice Chancellor is like the Vice Principal of our secondary schools. And after going around to the islands and promoting UWI himself, he has found that there are three main areas affecting youth, or he thinks youth should be sensitized on, such as HIV/AIDS awareness, disaster mitigation, and the CARICOM and the CSME. So I'll leave HIV/AIDS and something else for Benedict to speak on, and I'll just touch the CSME. So just like how we have the recruiters here, we as Stat ambassadors also go to high schools within our local campus. So when I'm in Barbados, I visit high schools there. And then now when we go on the island visits, we make courtesy calls to, for example, your ministers of government, your prime minister, your president, and also visit the high schools there and sensitize the students as well. So one of the main things that we speak about, as I said, was the CSME and CARICOM, and some of the advantages of the CSME. So we should know that the CSME stands for Caribbean Single Market and Economy, and by 2015, which was the goal, we are supposed to reach a single economy or a single market where we have free movement of goods, labor, and capital. So for example, when I go to the high schools and I speak to the students, I will say, I'm a Jamaican here in Dominica, or I'm a Jamaican in Antigua. That for you is testament of free movement of people around the region without, visa or embargo restrictions. And so that is why when you go to UWI and qualify yourself with an excellent degree, you can become a teacher, doctor, and engineer. You don't have to be limited to the country in which you are born or domiciled. You can go and work somewhere else. So for example, I'm studying law. I want at the end of my degree not to be limited to my home country, which is Jamaica. I want to be able, because I'm a lover of my region, to practice around the region. Hopefully Trinidad and maybe Barbados, or even here in Dominica, because I've fallen in love with this place since I've been here. And also now you have, free movement of goods. So I'll say there are certain different goods we use in our household, maybe Colgate or some of the biscuits we eat that are from Trinidad or Jamaica or Barbados that we eat here as well. So that again is true testament of movement of goods.
Okay, I should tell you because I was associated with it in the private sector. I work for Colgate Palmolive, and the toothpaste used to come from Dominica. The soap still comes from Dominica, yes. And the main buyer is of the blue soap. Particularly those persons in Jamaica, like Jamaica, who wash in Trinidad, in rivers and so on. That's where the soap comes from. Okay, but you did say you love Dominica, and I won't reveal simply to say, have you visited schools?
Yes.
Well, okay, so I understand Malik. So you should tell the public that apart from selling UWI and promoting the ideals of the Vice Chancellor and University of the West Indies, you do have some time for some fun,
yes,
which you did. Typical UWI student, Benedict, right?
Yeah.
What happens at UWI?
UWI.
For you, your experience.
My experience at the St. Augustine campus. Well, the University of the West Indies is a regional institution, and being that, as everyone said, it focuses on CARICOM. And being at the University of the West Indies, you get to meet a lot of people from all over the region. Not even all over the region, all over the world. So you get to meet people from St. Vincent, Dominica, Jamaica. You get to meet a lot of individuals from all over the Caribbean. As well as that, the university does have a lot of programs that you can take to help build students as well. So I am currently doing political science, but I never got the opportunity to do French. I'm not as lucky as all Dominicans to be living between two French islands. So I decided to go to CLL, where French is offered for me free as a university student. So being in the university, they give you various avenues to also build yourself as a student, because when you go out there, you want to represent yourself not only as an individual, but as a professional. So at the university, you get that experience, as well as, you get the taste of various cultures. Like, I had the pleasure of meeting another STAT ambassador who was a Jamaican. I never tasted jerk chicken, and that was like, wow, okay, this is new and exciting. So at the University of the West Indies, you get a lot of exposure, experience, quality education, because one of my lecturers is currently from Canada and Montreal, and he's lecturing me in political economy, and he is giving me a different view as to how these things will can operate within the world and the Caribbean as a region. So at the University of the West Indies, we do get that first-class education.
Yes, your colleague had asked you to speak about HIV and the other mandates that you have. We will do this in, you may say, the second half of the program. I probably may throw on him I don't know why he's escaping the things that he has to promote, but we'll talk about that. Let us...
but may I just pick up
Benedict.
something that...
Yeah, no, I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
I
want to pick up something that you
It's
said.
rotation, it's democratic here, okay? 4 of you. I'm coming to you, and I was just queuing up for you to give some responses to what he said in terms of you involved in recruitment, etc., and administration. Tell the public, what do they have to do to apply to the University of the West Indies?
Okay, application to...
Any campus.
May I just pick up something that he's
Anytime.
left out? Now, he mentioned that you get exposure. Now, another thing that we realize that we can't give the student all the exposure that they like. Somebody might like to experience the snow. We don't have it. We have sea, sun, and fun all the time.
Marjorie, stop it. You in Jamaica had a bobsled team.
Can you imagine?
And you imported snow.
Yes.
And you had cool running.
It's to tell you that the Caribbean people can do...
Benedict is not far away.
Right. Anything that they want to do. But just want to say that if a student comes to UWI for some program, for most of the programs, they have an opportunity to go overseas for a year or for a semester to broaden their horizon and to view interchange of culture. We also allow our students to have an inter-campus exchange where they can go to one campus or another for a year or for a semester. For the inter-campus exchange, the University of the West Indies pay the airfare again, and they also get boarding. Now, we also allow our students to go internationally, and we have about 60 other institutions all over the world where our students can go, and they will not have to extend their stay with us. The year or the semester count as a part of the degree, and that will appear on their certificate. Now, how do you get into the University of the West Indies?
Well, before you take that, Marjorie, because as usual, I have to pull the reins on Marjorie. Okay? Because, my God, Marjorie can speak about the University of the West Indies, and any one of the panelists here missing out an iota of information, she will fill in. And that iota for us will be a whole day for her. That is the passion with which Marjorie feels for the University of the West Indies and you. We think it is opportune now to take a break for the sponsors, and your appetite is not yet satiated, and hence we will come back with some more. Let us have a word for our sponsors. Who else? The University of the West Indies.
Yeah, that time and done.
I'm part of a tough, smart,
Constantly evolving,
never too old to learn community of human beings.
proud of country,
Proudly Caribbean, global citizens.
with convenient access to over 400 learning programs
Delivered both online and face-to-face.
from the Caribbean's University of First Choice.
My mind,
My life.
my world of possibilities is wide open.
Call, click, or visit the UWI Open Campus.
So, Marjorie, one of the most interesting persons in my life and my association with Jamaica. Marjorie, I should tell you, my grandfather came from there, so I'm not far away from that.
Okay.
But Louise Bennett, I am passionate about her, as I am for Paul Kings Douglas, who is a Caribbean man too, probably born in Grenada, but like Sparrow, living in Trinidad all his life. But these persons tell a good story about the Caribbean, and they have enriched the Caribbean in terms of social interaction and what have you. Good. So, Louise, probably related to you, Marjorie, Louise Bennett, tell us about how do students, because they're keen to know, how do students and would-be students get into the University of the West Indies?
Program. No, it's the University of the West Indies. The requirements are 5 subjects, two of which must be at the advanced level in most instances. And in the case of medical sciences, the MBBS program, veterinary medicine, dentistry, pharmacy,
Medicine, surgery.
pardon?
Just medical science.
Yes, not all of the medical sciences, are just, but generally for 3 subjects.
Don't forget, we have a major program with nurses.
Yes, the nurses, 2 at the advanced level where they are coming in straight from high school.
Yes.
Those who are already trained nurses can come in with their certificate from as RN. But the subjects, English language is compulsory, mathematics is not compulsory for everything, but we would suggest that everybody gets mathematics because the university allows you to do cross faculty and cross campus programs which might require mathematics. In most instances, they need 2 subjects at the advanced level, and here in Dominica, I realize that most persons do A-levels. So you would have 2 A-levels. Depending on the area that you want to do, the subject should fall in that area. A lot of persons want to do business. For they want to do accounting, marketing, or so on, they just need to have CXC mathematics. And the other subjects at the advanced level could be economics or any of subject that they particularly like. But for the sciences and engineering, they have specific subjects. Now we are going to leave some of these, what we call a quick reference guide, what we have put a synopsis of all the programs of the University of the West Indies, and the requirements are here. Some of these copies will be left at our open campus, and you'll be able to pick up a copy from there, which will really give you an idea of the programs at the University of the West Indies. I know some persons here do associate degree, and I'd like to put in a plug here. We offer a program at the Mona campus in hotel management and one in tourism management. Persons are able, with their associate degree from Dominica State, to just do 2 years to get their degree in hotel management or in tourism management once they have a GPA of 2.5. These 2 years are done in the Bahamas at our Center for Hotel and Tourism Management. And again, the university pays the airfare from here or refunds the airfare there. And the cost is really minimal when you think about it. It's less than $3,000 per year for that particular program. But we want to remind those who want to do like medicine or in those areas that we also look at your out of classroom learning activities that you're involved in. It is very, very important if you want to do those particular degree. I just want to add that at Mona campus for like the medical sciences, we do have something like diagnostic imaging, and the persons can come in with just their CSEC, 6 CSEC, can get you into those programs.
Diagnostic imaging
radiography. Those persons
that
who want to do the imaging, the X-rays, the MRIs, yes. And we would want to say, and Nigel will agree with me, that persons should really look at other careers that are there. Most students want to go into medicine or law or business, but there are so many more career areas that we at the University of the West Indies can help you to develop and to actualize your dream. We have a little thing here which says, My UWI, My Future. And the university can certainly help you to actualize that dream by all the programs. And remember, they are quality programs. Our programs are accredited. You can go on the web, you can check that for yourselves. We're not just telling you tail out of school, but we are really excited about UWI. As I said, Felix, to some students...
Marjorie, I'm going to pull the rein,
yes.
Because if you tell me what you have said to each and every student while you've been in Dominica, Marjorie, you said, and you showed your wristband, My UWI,
My Future.
But the very program you're on says the University of the West Indies and You. That is our special program. Nigel, Marjorie addressed what is needed in terms of the subjects or courses, matters that qualification to enter UWI. And for any of the UWI branches, 5 CSEC is the 5 ordinary level subjects that is. CSEC, they call them now, Marjorie. And they don't say CXC anymore. Okay, but Nigel, I wanted a little thing on how to apply. So what is needed to get into UWI was said by Marge, but how do students go about applying? Because many people are not aware of what they should do.
Okay, it's a fairly simple process. We have moved towards being able to give persons a choice in terms of the way in which they can apply. For many persons, they are accustomed to filling forms and utilizing pens to write up all the applications and stuff. That was the original method that was utilized. It is still allowable, right? Also, too, for persons who are a little more internet savvy and want the opportunity to be able to go online at any point in time, they can go to any one of the campuses of the University of West Indies. The 4, St. Augustine, Mona, Cave Hill, Open Campus. Right now, at each one of the websites when you locate it, they have continuous promotions in terms of ads, verifying that you can still apply. You click on the ads, they will carry you to where you see the application instructions. It is something that I think most persons should want to look at closely before beginning the actual application process. Because it involves everything in terms of how to go from step A to step Z in the application process. And thereafter, there's another link that allows for you to be able to start your application online for any or every campus. And I say every campus because you can also too apply simultaneously to the other campuses. I ask you to consider applying to each and every one of the campuses to be able to give yourself the opportunity of choice when the bright Dominican students that we have right here in this country are able to receive several offers from which they'll be asked to choose one.
Okay, and just to link what both you and Marjorie said, not the traditional professions only, which people think of when they think of UWI, but in agriculture in Trinidad, just recently, and on this program, we had a student who did agriculture at the Dominica State College and graduated with first-class honors, etc. So there are several range. I mean, if you have 800 programs, if you know what that means, very diverse. And Benedict told us while doing political science, il faut parler français. So Benedict, probably what I'm going to ask you, you need to speak to the public in French or preferably Creole. What I'm going to ask you, but still within your ambassadorial mission here. We heard about CSME and the other two, HIV/AIDS and
disaster mitigation.
Disaster mitigation. Your pick, any one of them you want to tell. What does it entail? That your mission or that goal set for the Union ambassadors. One of them, speak about it. HIV or disaster mitigation.
Well, I'll speak about HIV and AIDS because we had a.
So you live in the other one for the one who passed on to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll leave it for him because we had a.
You're Trinidadian, I know. In the parlance of the Caribbean, we say tricky Dadian, but go on.
But while at Dominica, we had the pleasure of visiting the HIV and AIDS unit, and she spoke to us at length about some stuff that we didn't know or I didn't have like expertise on, and she told us about. That is
Mrs. Frampton.
Yeah,
Julie Frampton.
And she told us about how the approach Dominica takes towards HIV and AIDS. As one of the mandates as a UWI Staff Ambassador, the Vice Chancellor sees it that we should also speak about HIV and AIDS because it's also an issue that's threatening the Caribbean. So we obviously have to do some research into this. Now, when we spoke to her, she told us that the mother-to-child transmission within Dominica is very low because they go about speaking to various communities and going into the communities and talking to them about AIDS and HIV. And how they go about it was very interesting to me because I think in Dominica it's very unique because you're able to go into the community and speak to people one-on-one, and they have that kind of welcoming culture that they're able to address this issue. So it regards to AIDS and HIV, I think that within some parts of the region, various islands are handling it very well.
Well, Dominica initiated what is called primary health care, which is preventative medicine. And that was sold to, not UNESCO or through PAO to the world. And some of the practices that initiated. In fact, the head of PAO now, a UWI graduate from Mona, Dr. Carissa Etienne, she heads PAO now. She was one of the pioneers in this primary health care. So if AIDS, and Mrs. Frampton is a former qualified nurse and now heads the HIV AIDS unit. I'm happy, but you came to bring information and you were there doing some research with her. But that's interesting. Those ambassadors from UWI and more so from Trinidad now, as Benedict spoke, very innovative. So we've heard about CSME, and just recently we had the head of the CCJ, that is Byron. Justice Byron. Yes, he spoke to Dominica explaining about the CCJ and why we should join.
And recently I saw an article in our newspaper in Jamaica, The Gleaner, where Dominica is considering now cutting ties with the Privy Council and making the CCJ its final court. Okay,
so he explained the mechanism. That is, all Dominica has to do is to write to Britain and ask for delinking. Ties, but there is a concept that it should be done with the other OECS. Right. I think St. Lucia probably has the same thing like us, whereas Antigua and Grenada,
I think they have a referendum.
They have a referendum. Correct. But the debate goes on, you know, it's topical. But tell us about disaster mitigation.
So before even going into disaster mitigation, I just want to tie in how even, for example, when we're speaking to students about the three issues, how HIV, AIDS awareness, and even the CSME link. Because as we're telling them when we go into the schools about how, just like how when you get qualified with even a UWI degree and you start to move around and network and work within the region, because, for example, you might have friends who you've worked with before in school and you meet them up again. For example, I know Mr. Wilson's daughter, she's in my class. And when I was coming here, I could make that link easily and ask her, you know, what can I do when I come to Dominica? Schools, for example, is one of the things. So in that same regard, when you move around using the CSME as your market, you also have to protect yourself. So we sensitize them, of course, you know, on the preventative measures they should take, because if you don't protect yourself, and we use the colloquial and say you kill off your one another, kill off yourselves with this disease, then there's less income to go around, less labor to go around, and who knows, a UWI graduate might soon find the cure for AIDS or even cancer, the full cure for that. And so why you have to protect yourself, because in a region like the Caribbean where we have opened up so we can work, we have to protect ourselves and sensitize one another as to how it will work. That's how CSME and HIV/AIDS awareness ties in. Now on to disaster mitigation. So we know within this region that we live, we are very prone to natural disasters. So we go over the geography terms we learned, tropical storms, hurricane, drought, earthquake, volcano, and then we ask them, some of the places we can find maybe the latest earthquake happening. So they'd bring up the Haiti one in 2011, or 2009, I think, and then for example the latest hurricane. And so we'll make the link again, for example, where they say in Dominica they have 365 rivers. So we say, all right, if there's a hurricane, that hurricane is linked to flooding. So the rivers will overflow their banks, and we go through all the different effects that these natural disasters will have on our region. And so also sensitize and remind them of, why it is that they need to take precautionary and post-cautionary measures to minimize or mitigate the effects of these natural disasters. So we know that Dominica also boasts being the green isle or the nature island, so we congratulate them on that. And so remind the students, simple little things as littering, is a no-no or a minus. So, recycling projects, and you can start that even at home. Even, for example, when mommy or dad is in the kitchen cooking, the little refuse from the fruits or the vegetables or the provisions they cook, instead of throwing them in a plastic bag and in the garbage, collectors pick it up, throw it outside, make a compost. Simple little things like that we encourage them to do as well.
Fantastic. And probably one of the Dominican students you made contact with should have told you what is very topical now in Dominica and related to possible disaster is geothermal energy, which we are exploring in Dominica. And many people associate geothermal energy and the extract of that energy in the Earth's crust with volcanoes, etc. And Dominica has volcanoes. Dormant, yes, but
yes, they're here.
Yes, we do not know. Not to put fear into persons, but for them to understand all the implications, all the risks associated with that. In fact, some time ago, the students of the secondary school have to debate that topic. The benefits of geothermal energy outweigh the risks. Okay, so all that you can probably time. When you speak to Dominicans and when you go to St. Kitts and Nevis, you could also, and St. Lucia is thinking of doing just that too. Okay. Don't you feel proud as an administrator, a recruiter, when you listen to two very astute young men who have not yet graduated, so they are still as ambassador students today, and hence the output, the outcome when they leave school. You would like someone like Malike to defend you in court, won't you?
Oh, definitely.
As well as to probably lead Trinidad.
Trinidad.
Have, Benedict doing just that.
Yes, that's fantastic. That we have.
Having said that, so what we're talking about, Marjorie, is the competence, or how proud we feel about our graduates and our undergraduates, etc. They get in good schooling. You feel happy about that?
I feel very happy about that.
You're not just feel happy.
I'm very proud of our students. Now, I just want to mention that we go to the World's Debates and every year, and we compete against about 700 universities.
Listen, I'm not prompting Marjorie between and I never even thought of that. That is about going to world debates. I made mention of debates and UWI, and there she flies the flag. Go on.
It doesn't have to be a law student. Our students are involved. 800 in institutions, and for 2 years, 1 year Cave Hill, 1 year Mona, we had the top public speaker in the world, and we're talking about Princeton and Cambridge and all those top universities. So the University of the West Indies, we prepare our students
Oxford and Cambridge,
Cambridge, Princeton, all of those institutions, we prepare our students when they shall have left us, they can go anywhere in the world and hold their own and to make us proud to be, whether they become Nobel laureates or whether they become Rhodes Scholars. I just want to give a little plug though for the Mona campus has 2 locations now. There's a Western Jamaica campus. It's a smaller campus, and I know some Dominicans will like that. Not many programs are there, but certainly they can do the medical sciences, dentistry, law. They can also do the humanities, whether they're marketing or so on at that particular campus. I want to give a little plug. So if you don't want to come to the huge Mona campus of 630 odd acres, you can go to the smaller one, which is in Montego Bay. And also the university owns a beach. Mona campus, we own a beach, and we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And for those who are interested in the sports, I know it is at St. Augustine too, they have a fantastic facilities there. But the Mona campus also has all these facilities. If you come to the UWI, if you can't play netball, football, if you want to learn to swim, I hope all Dominicans can swim, but if you can't, we have coaches there for you. It's fantastic what we have to support our students, because we know that research has shown that students' development is not only in terms of the academics, but also the other out-of-classroom learning activities which support the students and make them to go out into civil society.
Marjorie, I pull in the reins. I pull in the reins. I'm enjoying that. But let me just simply say, and even with all that she is telling us about, she has forgotten to tell us that Usain Bolt is affiliated. I pull your reins.
Yes,
so
I was
if you
about
had
to
to
say
say
that.
you'd be there all day. Usain Bolt trains on the UWI track.
Johan Blake and Warren Weir and Hansel Parchment.
And also, Trinidad will tell you the story with sports management in a while. Yeah. Let's take a break for our sponsors.
I'm part of a tough, smart,
Constantly evolving,
never too old to learn community of human beings.
proud of country,
Proudly Caribbean, global citizens.
with convenient access to over 400 learning programs
Delivered both online and face-to-face.
from the Caribbean's University of First Choice.
My mind,
My life.
my world of possibilities is wide open.
Call, click, or visit the UWI Open Campus.
I pull the reins on Marjorie. My God, Louis Bennett reincarnated. But let me just say that is what is being shown here tonight and what is discussed here tonight is that UWI, a Caribbean, steeped in Caribbean culture, that is what your child or you can benefit from, being part of that lovely UWI family. Let's go to Trinidad. We just 4 campuses spread over the entire region with the tentacles, the link being the open campus. Nigel, I've heard about, she even forgot Usain Bolt and the track, the UWI track that he trains on, etc. But in Trinidad, you two spoke about all the different programs, but there is something unique to Trinidad where you teach I think a master's in sports management?
Definitely.
Good, okay.
We have a master's in sports management, which is well sponsored by a number of different multinational groups, including FIFA, through the CAIES.
And the IAAF.
And the IAAF. IOC has a small subsidiary which is involved in allowing persons to be able to understand sports administration at the international level. And
IOC here is the International Olympic Committee.
Yes.
Very well recognized.
Very well, across 200 plus countries.
Yes.
But I want to get back to the point that you were making just now about the open campus being central to all the university, to all of our campuses. One of the things that I must say, after having visited more than several Caribbean countries through the open campus, the Dominican open campus site is the most beautiful out of all of them.
Yes, lush and green.
Nigel, listen. Marjorie campaigned for diplomatic status. I mean, my God. I mean,
True.
I would have to go and live in Trinidad and you come here. But anyway.
But no, it's not to say anything about the truth feeling.
Yes.
And one of the other things I want to let you know is the Mona campus, the Mona campus, I say, is about 60 to 40 times that size. That's the Dominica campus. And just as beautiful. The St. Augustine campus, very beautiful as well, nestled in the Caroni Basin at the foothills of the Northern Range. Right? we have gone to extensive lengths to ensure the comfort, the well-being, and emotional well-being of all our students when they make the significant choice of tropical tertiary education at the University of the West Indies. We're very happy to always be hosted by our Dominican counterparts here at the Open Campus because of the energy that is vibrant here. I mean, I don't know if it's always because I come at this time of the year when it's close to Carnival, but definitely the energy that is here for what we have been able to observe. I entertained about 6 persons at the Open Campus yesterday that are very interested in coming to the University of West Indies at the physical campuses. I really have to let everyone know about how passionate they were in terms of the quality of the questions that they had to ask.
Oh, yes.
They were very diligent in terms of the research done. That is something we ask everyone to do.
Yes.
Do the significant research through our web pages to be able to find out about all the opportunities, all the services that we offer. Remember, we nearly 50,000 students at our 4 campuses. All of us are carrying, Marjorie, myself, even the staff ambassadors are carrying these persons as our yoke, right? And we very much, and that is what the West Indian brown pelican is on our crest for. The young and the old, especially male and the female West Indian brown pelican, they nurture the young, and that is what we are trying to do now through our recruitment strategy, through our promotional programs.
So Nigel speaks of the Pelican Pride, okay? And that has impacted the Jamaican who is studying in Barbados at K-ville. When you see this logo, how do you feel as a student?
Well, for a university that boasts so many, world-class, not just leaders, but the most prime ministers for any university to boast, I am, of course, a proud student. And I think I've been attached to UWI from even in high school because I was sold the UWI by Mrs. Bolero-Haughton. Just to show you how, the
she would sell
university
anything.
is linked. Well, but just to show you just how the university is linked. From that initial step, I've never regretted it. I remember when my mommy and my daddy sat with me and asked me, all right, it's now time to apply for college or university. Where do you want to go? We will, even if it's sacrifice and get the funds, all that funds to go to other schools, I was like, no. From the get-go, it was always UWI for me. And that initial step, that January 31st, when I submitted my application till now, I cannot say I've regretted one bit of it. Again, look at the experience I have gained as a law student. I was able to go to 2 campuses and study, Mona and the K-ville, so I've got the best of both worlds. And on the K-ville campus, both being, the most diverse regionally because, we have what we call island weeks. So each island is able to share in the first term or first semester their culture and traditions with other students. And even, for example, the hall experience that many of us get, living on a halls of residence is another good experience for us, the quality teaching. So seeing that pelican anywhere and, being in contact with alumni or alumna pelicans around the region and the world makes me feel even more guaranteed that, I've made the right choice by going to the UWI.
Yes, and let me just say to you that Nigel spoke of 6 or more persons he met before, and they were passionate about going to UWI. Nigel, most of them, if not all, followed an A-level program that we ran. Dr. Francis Evra and I were intimately involved in this A-level program. And, but more importantly, when you make Dominicans realize the relevance of going to UWI, that is what is important. The high quality of learning and teaching, that is very, very important to them. And well, let's hear about the experience of Benedict.
Well, so far, as he said, he spoke about his experience on campus. When we came to Dominica...
Well, you spoke about jerk chicken. we offer it here too, It's not, it's just I don't want to put you in expense. We're not Jamaica. But just like the Blue Mountain coffee, Dominica thinks its coffee is the best in the world because it's from the same bean. The same
I haven't had the experience of
that coffee?
Yeah.
No.
Before I leave...
You should go to... You are the Gary Hotel? You are the Gary Hotel? You are the Gary Hotel?
Yeah.
Well, do you ask them for Dominican coffee? Coffee noir? Pal Foster? Okay, yes.
Yeah, well, since we arrived and we actually had the gracious experience of greeting the Guild of Open Campus.
Yes.
So as he said, you know, you get a chance to interact with various places. We got a chance to meet with them and interact with them. They actually took us to schools. So, you know, at that level, you get to interact with these individuals, not only in your country, but across the region. You get that really regional perspective. Yeah, so it's been...
And as if you do not want your professors to know that you will be going to, or you have gone to some Calypso tent. You see, they don't want their parents to know, or the professors, or more particularly the vice chancellor, but he would be elated. Nigel Harris has been here, and I should reveal to you that council for the Open Campus is taking place in Dominica in February. It would have taken place by the time this program is aired. And we will have also a recording of some of those persons on council from the UWI. And they, as Mrs. Bolero said, Haughton, let me not forget, the husband is Haughton. Oh, yeah, sure, so I can't forget the gentleman, and I have to go to Jamaica soon.
Don't worry.
Yes, but we have had fun here. I think you would agree that having heard, and I didn't ask them to say what they have to say, having heard with passion what each UWI member of the great UWI family, such as Ms. Bolero told us, that we may be small, but we're powerful. But she said it in Dominican. We hallow, is that it?
We're little, but we
We're
talawa.
little, but we talawa. That's what University of West Indies is. And that's where you should be. Be part of your family. University of the West Indies. And for such a small university that can boast of such quality learning and teaching, where would you want to be? With the University of the West Indies. I leave you with no other choice but the best. UWI and You. Come the third Thursday of March, we'll be together again.